Verse for opening a sutra. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. The wonderful Dharma Lotus Flower Sutra, the Analogy of the Transformed City. Chapter 7. The Buddha told the bhikshus, long ago, past limitless, boundless, inconceivable Asankhya aeons, there was a Buddha called Great Penetrating Wisdom Victory, thus come one worthy of offerings, one of proper and universal knowledge, one whose understanding and conduct are complete, a well-gone one who understands the world, and surpassed Lord, taming and regulating hero, teacher of gods and humans, Buddha, world-honored one. His country was named Good City, and his aeon was named Great Mark. O bhikshus, it has been a great long time since that Buddha passed into extinction. Suppose someone were to grind all the earth in the 3,000 great thousand worlds into ink powder, and then suppose he passed through 1,000 lands to the east, and then drop a particle the size of a mote of dust, and then passing through another 1,000 lands, deposited another mote, and continued to do this until all the ink made of earth was exhausted. What do you think? Could a mathematician or his disciple ever reach the limit of the lands and know their number? No world-honored one. O bhikshus, if the lands this person had passed through, whether or not he set down a particle in them, were all grounded into dust, and if each dust mote was equal to an aeon, then the time since that Buddha passed into extinction would exceed their number by limitless, boundless, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of millions of Asankhya aeons. Using the power of the thus come one's knowledge and vision, I behold that time in the distant past as if it were today. At that time, the world-honored one, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses saying, I recall that in a past age, limitless, boundless aeons ago, there was a Buddha doubly honored by the name of Great Penetrating Wisdom Victory. Suppose a person ground all of the earth that was in the 3,000 great thousand lands entirely into ink powder, and then suppose he passed through 1,000 lands, and then let fall one particle of it, continuing to drop particles in this way until all the ink particles were gone. Suppose all the countries he passed through, whether he dropped particles in them or not, again were completely grounded into dust motes, and each dust mote was an aeon. These grains of dust would, in number, be exceeded by the number of aeons since that Buddha has passed into extinction. It has been limitless aeons such as these. The thus come one, with unobstructed wisdom, knows of that Buddha's extinction, and of his hearers and bodhisattvas, as if seeing his extinction now. Bhikshus, you should know the Buddha's wisdom is pure, subtle, and wondrous, without outflows and without obstructions. It penetrates limitless aeons. The Buddha told the bhikshus, the Buddha Great Penetrating Wisdom Victory had a lifespan of 540 myriads of millions of nayutas of aeons. When this Buddha was seated in the Bodhimanda, having destroyed the troops of Mara, although he was on the point of attaining Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi, still the Buddha Dharma did not appear before him. So it was for one minor aeon, and then onwards to 10 minor aeons, that he sat in the lotus posture, body and mind unmoving, and yet the Buddha Dharma still did not appear before him. Thereupon, the gods of the Triastimsa heaven spread out for the Buddha under a Bodhi tree, a lion throne 1 yojana in height. On that throne, the Buddha was to attain Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi. Just as he sat down upon that throne, the kings of the Brahma heavens rained down heavenly flowers over a distance of 100 yojanas. A fragrant wind from time to time swept away the withered flowers as fresh ones rained down. This continued without interruption for a full 10 minor aeons, as an offering to the Buddha, the rain of these flowers continuing right up until his extinction. In the same way, the gods of the 4 heavenly kings constantly played heavenly drums as an offering to that Buddha, and the other gods make heavenly instrumental music for a full 10 minor aeons, right up until his extinction. Bhikshus, the Buddha great penetrating wisdom victory passed through 10 minor aeons before the Buddha Dharma finally manifested before him, and he attained Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi. Before that Buddha left home, he had 16 sons, the first of whom was named Accumulation of Knowledge. Each of them had a variety of precious, unusual fine toys. When they heard that their father had realized Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi, they all cast aside these things they valued and went before the Buddha, escorted by their weeping mothers, their grandfather, a wheel-turning sage king, together with 100 great ministers and with hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of citizens, all surrounded them and accompanied them to the Bodhimanda, all wishing to draw near to the thus come one, great penetrating wisdom victory, to make offerings to him, to honor, revere, and praise him. When they arrived, they bowed with their head at his feet, and having circumambulated him, they single-mindedly joined their palms, respectfully gazed upward at the world-honored one, and uttered these verses: World-honored one, of great and awesome virtue, for the sake of crossing over living beings, after limitless millions of aeons, you accomplished Buddhahood and perfected all your vows. Unsurpassed is our good fortune. Very rare you are, world-honored one, in one sitting, passing through 10 minor aeons, with body, hands, and feet, still, secure, and unmoving. Your mind ever tranquil, never knows distraction, ultimate your eternal extinction, as you dwell firmly in the non-outflow Dharma. Now we see that world-honored one serenely realize the Buddha path. We all gain good benefit and proclaim our delight and great joy. Living beings ever tormented by suffering, blind and without a guide, fail to recognize the path which ends that pain, and do not know to seek their liberation. During the long night, the evil destinies increase, while the hosts of gods are reduced in number. From darkness they proceed into darkness, never hearing the Buddha's name. Now the Buddhas gain the utmost peace, rest, and non-outflow way, and we and all the gods to attain the greatest benefit. Therefore, bow our heads and return our lives to the unsurpassed honored one. When the 16 sons had finished praising the Buddha, they then entreated him to turn the Dharma wheel, saying, World-honored one, speak the Dharma and bring us peace. Show us pity and benefit both gods and humans. Then they spoke more verses, saying, O hero of the world, incomparable, adorned with 100 blessings, and having attained unsurpassed wisdom, pray speak for the sake of this world, to cross over and liberate us, and all classes of living beings as well, and lead us to attain that wisdom. Demonstrate it, speak it in detail, for if we can attain Buddhahood, other living beings can do the same. The world-honored one knows the profound thoughts within the minds of living beings. He knows the ways on which they walk and the strength of their wisdom, the pleasures and the blessings they have cultivated, and all the deeds done in former lives. The world-honored one, knowing all of this, should turn the unsurpassed wheel. The Buddha, Shakyamuni, told the bhikshus, when the Buddha great penetrating wisdom victory attained Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi, in each of the 10 directions, 500 myriads of millions of Buddha worlds quaked in 6 ways. The dark recesses between those lands that the awesome light of the sun and moon could not illumine then were brightly lit, and the living beings therein were able to see one another. They all said, "Where have all these living beings come from?" Further, in those lands, all the heavenly palaces, up to the Brahma palaces, quaked in 6 ways. A great light shone everywhere, illumining the entire universe and surpassing the light of the heavens. At that time, in 500 myriads of millions of lands to the east, the Brahma heaven palaces shone, with a light twice that of the usual brightness. Each of the Brahma heaven kings had this thought, "Now the palaces are brighter than ever before. What is the reason for this manifestation?" Then the Brahma heaven kings visited one another and discussed this matter. In the assembly, there was one great Brahma heaven king by the name of Rescuing All, who, on behalf of the Brahma host, spoke verses saying, "All of our palaces are bright as never before. What is the reason for this? Let us seek it together. Is it because a great and virtuous God has been born, or because a Buddha has appeared in the world, that this great light shines throughout the 10 directions?" At that time, the Brahma heaven kings from the 500 myriads of millions of lands, together with their palaces, each with sacks filled with heavenly flowers, went to the west to seek out this manifestation. They saw the thus come one, great penetrating wisdom victory, seated on the lion throne, beneath the Bodhi tree, in the Bodhimanda, revered and circumambulated by gods, dragons, kings, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, and beings both human and non-human. They saw as well the 16 sons of the king, requesting the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. Then the Brahma heaven kings bowed with their heads at the Buddha's feet, circumambulated him 100,000 times, and scattered heavenly flowers upon him. The flowers were piled as high as Mount Sumeru, and they offered them as well to the Buddha's Bodhi tree, which was 10 yojanas in height. Having made offerings of flowers, each presented his palace to the Buddha, saying, "Pray show us pity and benefit us by accepting and occupying these palaces that we offer you." Then the Brahma heaven kings, in front of the Buddha, with a single mind and the same voice, spoke verses in praise, saying, "World-honored one, you are very rare and difficult to encounter, complete with limitless meritorious virtues. You are able to rescue and protect all creatures, great teacher of gods and humans. You who pity all the world, all beings in the 10 directions, receive your beneficence. We have come from 500 myriads of millions of lands, setting aside the bliss of deep dhyana samadhi, for the sake of making offerings to the Buddha. Blessings we have gained in former lives well ornament our palaces. Now we offer them to the world-honored one, only praying you will show mercy and accept them." At that time, the Brahma heaven kings, having praised the Buddha, said, "We only pray that the world-honored one will turn the Dharma wheel, crossing over living beings, opening up the way to nirvana." Then all the Brahma heaven kings, with one mind and the same voice, proclaimed these verses. Hero of the world, doubly perfect Honored One, we only pray that you expound and proclaim the Dharma, and through the power of your great compassion and pity, cross over suffering and tormented living beings. Thereupon, the thus come One, great penetrating wisdom victory, assented by his silence. Furthermore, O Bhikshus, to the southeast the great Brahma kings in 500 myriads of millions of lands, seeing their palaces in dazzling brilliance as never before, jumped for joy, thinking it rare indeed. They visited one another and discussed this matter. Then in the assembly, a Brahma heaven king by the name of Great Compassion, on behalf of the Brahma hosts, spoke these verses. What is the reason for this event? Why has this sign appeared? All of our palaces are aglow as never before. Has a greatly virtuous God been born? Or has a Buddha appeared in the world? We have never seen such signs before. With one mind, we should investigate it, passing through 1,000 myriads of millions of lands, searching for the light, investigating it together. It must be that a Buddha has appeared to take across the suffering living beings. At that time, 500 myriads of millions of Brahma heaven kings, together with their palaces, each with sacks filled with heavenly flowers, went to the northwest to seek out this manifestation. They saw the thus come One, great penetrating wisdom victory, seated on the lion throne beneath the Bodhi tree in the Bodhimanda, revered and circumambulated by gods, dragon kings, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, and beings both human and non-human. They saw as well the 16 sons of the king, requesting the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. Then the Brahma heaven kings bowed with their heads at the Buddha's feet, circumambulated him 100,000 times, then scattered heavenly flowers upon him. The flowers were piled as high as Mount Sumeru, and they offered them as well to the Buddha's Bodhi tree. Having made offerings of flowers, each presented his palace to the Buddha, saying, "Show us pity and benefit us by accepting and occupying these palaces that we offer you." Then the Brahma heaven kings, before the Buddha, with a single mind and the same voice, spoke verses in praise, saying, "Sagely Lord, King among gods, with the Kalavinka sound, to you who pity living beings, we now reverently bow. The world-honored One is most rare, appearing but once in the long ages. 180 eons have passed, empty, without a Buddha. The 3 evil paths are full, the host of gods decrease. Now the Buddha has appeared in the world to act as eyes for living beings, as a refuge for the world, rescuing and protecting all creatures, a father for all beings, pitying and benefiting them. Now through blessings gained in former lives, we are enabled to meet the world-honored One. At that time, the Brahma heaven gods, having praised the Buddha, said, "We only pray that the world-honored One will take pity on all beings and turn the Dharma wheel to liberate living beings." Then the Brahma heaven kings, with one mind and a single voice, spoke verses saying, "Great sage, turn the Dharma wheel to reveal the marks of all dharmas, to cross over tormented living beings, so they may gain great joy. When living beings hear the Dharma, they may gain the way or be reborn in the heavens. The evil paths will decrease, and those of patience and goodness will increase. At that time, the world-honored One, great penetrating wisdom victory, assented by his silence. Furthermore, O Bhikshus, to the south the great Brahma kings in 500 myriads of millions of Buddha lands, seeing their palaces in dazzling brilliance as never seen before, jumped for joy, thinking it rare indeed. Thereupon they visited one another and discussed these matters, wondering, why do our palaces glow with the light? Then in the assembly, a Brahma heaven king called Wonderful Dharma, on behalf of the Brahma host, spoke these verses. All of our palaces shine with awesome brilliance. This cannot be for no reason. We should seek out this sign. In 100,000 aeons, such a sign has never been seen. Has a great and virtuous God been born? Or has a Buddha appeared in the world? At that time, 500 myriads of millions of Brahma heaven kings, together with their palaces, each with sacks filled with heavenly flowers, went to the north to seek out this manifestation. They saw the thus come one great penetrating wisdom victory, seated on the lion throne, beneath the Bodhi tree, in the Bodhimanda, revered and circumambulated by gods, dragons, kings, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, and beings, both human and non-human. They saw as well the 16 sons of the king requesting the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. Then the Brahma heaven kings bowed with their heads at the Buddha's feet, circumambulated him 100,000 times, and scattered heavenly flowers upon him. The flowers were piled as high as Mount Sumeru, and they offered them as well to the Buddha's Bodhi tree. Having made offerings of flowers, each presented his palace to the Buddha, saying, "Show us pity and benefit us by accepting and occupying these palaces that we offer you." Then the Brahma heaven kings, before the Buddha, with a single mind and the same voice, spoke verses in praise, saying, "The world-honored one is very hard to meet. He who breaks through all afflictions, passing through 130 aeons, only now do we get to see him. May living beings, starving and thirsty, be filled with the rain of Dharma. He whom we have never seen before, one of unlimited wisdom, rare as the Dambara blossom. Today at last we have met. All of our palaces, receiving your light, are adorned. In your great compassion, world-honored one, pray accept and live with them." At that time, the Brahma heaven kings, having praised the Buddha, said, "We only pray that the world-honored one will turn the Dharma wheel, causing the entire world with its gods, Maras, Brahmans, Shramanas, all to become peaceful and calm and to attain liberation." Then the Brahma heaven kings, with a single mind and the same voice, spoke verses in praise, saying, "Honored one among gods and humans, pray turn the unsurpassed wheel of Dharma, beat upon the Dharma drum, and blow the great Dharma conch, let fall everywhere the great Dharma rain, to cross over limitless living beings. We all beseech you to expound and proclaim the profound, far-reaching sound." Thereupon, the thus come one great penetrating wisdom, victory, assented by his silence. And so it was in all directions, from the southwest to the lower direction. Then 500 myriads of millions of great Brahma kings in the upper directions, seeing the palaces they rested in, shining with awesome brilliance as never before, jumped for joy, thinking it rare indeed. They visited one another and discussed this matter, wondering, why do our palaces shine with this bright light? Then in the assembly, a Brahma heaven king by the name of Shikin, on behalf of the Brahma host, spoke verses saying, "Now for what reason do our palaces shine with such an awesome light, adorned as never before? wondrous marks such as these we have never seen before. Has a great and virtuous God been born? Has a Buddha appeared in the world? At that time, 500 myriads of millions of Brahma heaven kings, together with their palaces, each with sacks filled with heavenly flowers, went to the lower direction to seek out this sign. They saw the thus come one, great penetrating wisdom victory, seated on the lion throne beneath the Bodhi tree in the Bodhimanda, revered and circumambulated by gods, dragons, kings, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, and beings both human and non-human. They saw as well the 16 sons of the king requesting the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. Then the Brahma heaven kings bowed with their heads at the Buddha's feet, circumambulated him 100,000 times, and scattered heavenly flowers upon the Buddha. The flowers that they scattered were as high as Mount Sumeru, and they offered them as well to the Buddha's Bodhi tree. Having made offerings of flowers, they each presented their palace as an offering to the Buddha, saying, "We only pray that you will show us pity and benefit us by accepting and occupying these palaces." Then the Brahma heaven kings, before the Buddha with one mind and a single voice, spoke these verses. It is good indeed to see the Buddhas, honored sages who save the world, and who, from the prison of the triple realm, can effect escape for living beings, all wise, revered by gods and humans, pitying the flocks of beings, opening the door of sweet dew, vastly saving all beings. Limitless aeons of yore have passed emptily without a Buddha. Before the world-honored one emerged, the 10 directions were ever in darkness, the 3 evil paths increased, and the asuras flourished, while the hosts of gods diminished, most falling into evil paths at death. They did not hear the Dharma from the Buddha, but ever followed unwholesome paths. Their bodily strength and wisdom both decreased because of offense karma. They lost joy and thoughts of joy. They dwelt in dharmas of divine views, not knowing the rules of goodness, failing to receive the Buddha's transforming. They constantly fell into evil paths. The Buddha acts as eyes for all the world, and but once in the long while does appear. Out of pity for living beings, he manifests in the world, transcends it, and realizes right enlightenment. We rejoice exceedingly. We and all the other beings are happy as never before, and all of our palaces receive the light and are adorned. We now offer them to the world-honored one. May he pity us and accept them. We vow that this merit and virtue may extend to all living beings, so that we and all beings may together realize the Buddha way.